Yes, they can, but I mean, supposedly, I've been hearing feedback that there's an issue with that in the service, and that the bars actually help with service. Like the cocktail waitresses now have to handle all the service, which they're going to be overextended now.
Yeah, well, the cocktail waitresses aren't bartenders.
No, yeah, they're just
Like,
running the drinks for everybody. um, which they were already overworked. Like if I don't know when you come here if you sit and gamble and see the frequency of cocktail waitresses coming around, but it's much less than what it used to be. Like whenever I was first 21 and would visit here, I remember it was very frequent.
yeah. No, when we end up there, we are generally sitting at South Point, one specific bar where they comp with vodka and
Yeah.
like quarter blackberry.
Well, and at the bars when you sit and you play the video poker, they're gonna always comp your drinks there.
Yeah.
Hey Jeremy, how's it going?
Good. I remember when I first went to Vegas, it was Little Caesars. There those mechanical horse games.
Yeah, those things still exist here and there. There's a couple casinos that have those. Those are fun.
The D has them,
Yes.
and they have. Yeah, I remember last time I was to Vegas. I researched before I went where to find those. But all you needed was one roll of quarters, and you could sit there for about an hour, and the cocktail waitresses were coming by every 5 minutes. Like, it was fantastic. But that was the old Caesars.
Yeah.
Like, when it was still one tower. That was it. It was before all it's like 4 large towers past the main building, but it's fun when my parents talk about Vegas. They're talking about going to Vegas when, like, Mickey was it. Like, they were seeing, like, actually, like, A-list comedians in the late-night lounge bars.
Yeah.
So they were there when the mob was still running it.
Yeah.
This was a fantastic time.
The golden era.
Yeah. And they were always Flamingo. Always stayed at the Flamingo.
The Flamingo is actually a cool place. It's an older property now, but if I ever do stay on this strip, which I never do, but I think there was like 1 or 2 times where we decided, oh, let's just get a room and stay on the strip when we party there. The Flamingo, yeah, that's the one to go for.
It's the best location.
It's good location, and then like all the glasses are tinted pink, so all your rooms are pink. That's fun.
Yeah. I remember it was the best location because depending on which direction you can go. So it was like equidistant from Circus from Excalibur.
Oh, okay, yep.
And it was, I mean, you could go both ways and you're dead center on the strip.
Yeah, that's pretty center.
I miss old Vegas. Well, old Vegas for me was like early '90s when my parents started taking to us. Back when Vegas was family friendly, and the big marketing push was the family friendly city. And then that failed miserably, and then they went to the adult themed that happens in Vegas marketing, and that was it.
Yeah, we're moving into our tea phase now, which is pretty cool.
The upscale phase, right?
We got to make that a thing. Last week, Sam, weren't we talking about like vocabulary that we need to start popularizing?
Yeah.
Like the tea phase. We gotta make that a thing. Making tea an adjective.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in tea talks, we're all getting teed up.
So teed up, yeah, that's that has a little bit of a different meaning, though. Like when I hear like we're in our tea phase, or like we're heading into the tea phase, in a historical context of how that brings meaning to my head, is that it's like the mindful phase, the phase where we're all gonna calm down and just sit and drink tea and.
Do you know Alexander Pope?
not the colonizing
No.
colonizing poor nations part of it.
No.
Okay.
Alexander Pope,
No, who's that?
the English poet, late 18th century. He's the guy that wrote The Rape of the Lock, which was like this spoof, heroic, epic poem. But in it, I came across this because I read this like article on the etymology of tea.
Yeah.
And in England, from like the 16th to the 18th century, tea was pronounced tay.
Yeah.
And they proved it by these rhymed couplets in these poets. And the one that Alexander Pope will never forget is soft yielding minds to waters glide away, to sip with nymphs the elemental tay. So I never quite figured out what soft yielding minds are, but maybe we can integrate that somehow.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, Priscilla. Priscilla, she said hi on Facebook. She should come here. Be good to see
She
her.
might be going into class.
Oh, okay. We love you, Priscilla. Miss you. We have the Nomad Tea Festival coming up next week, or like in a week and a half.
Nomad Tea Fest.
Yeah, so that's it's a virtual, tea gathering. The woman Sue.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, her event is coming up, and Ray and I decided to do part 2 of our conversation from that original webinar that we were a part of. We decided to continue the conversation, and I think Kenneth from Thailand is going to be joining us in the conversation. Yes, Priscilla. Yes, it's absolutely okay. It is demanded, actually. That's how serious it's okay. Priscilla asked it's okay. She could join for a couple of minutes. Oh, man. So, yeah, that's coming up. Priscilla's going to be doing a presentation. There's, if you go to the website, nomadteafestival.com, Sue has started to populate it with the content. It's amazing how fast time is flying,
Yeah. It definitely goes fast. I find that it goes fast and slow at the same time.
Yes, good point.
Yeah, here in California, we're all going back to lockdown.
Yeah, well, and it's rumored here that it's only by next week. The people are rumoring that it's going to be happening here too. Everything closed down. But what's interesting is I don't know if I talked with you guys last week about this, but the source of that big argument is about the economy, right? It's like, okay, do we weigh our economy or weigh, public health, which is now everybody's seeing the rates are much lower than originally thought. But if you look at countries that never shut down their economies, they never shut down anything. So like Sweden and Vietnam, both of their economies are also suffering too. So I don't know if it's, really smart to immediately make that assumption that that having things open is really supporting the economy, because the economy is taking a beating regardless of, even restaurants open, sales are down. The izakaya that we went to last night, it's a very popular restaurant here in Chinatown, and every time I've gone, especially we went at 7:30, which is prime dinner time. We had a reservation, so we knew we'd get a seat. And they had all of their social distancing in their seats, but there was actually even more seats that were empty, tables that were empty that could have been filled. So they weren't even at, their own capacity. So I don't know, maybe people are still just choosing to stay home. Hi, Priscilla.
Hey, Priscilla.
Hello, you guys. Hello.
Hi. You look nice.
Hey.
Thank you very much. It has been a while.
Yeah.
3 weeks actually.
How you been?
You've been in school, right?
Yes, I'm taking a tea class.
Awesome. What kind of tea class?
It's a cupping tea. I
Okay.
think the translation is a cupping tea.
Cupping, yeah.
It's like very specific in how to find aromas and taste and texture in tea. It's kind of technical, and I'm enjoying it.
Awesome.
Very cool.
Is that like a virtual class or is it in real life?
It's live, but virtual. It's through Zoom.
Mm.
We are using Zoom, but they send all the packages we need with the teas and with the aromas and stuff that we are going to need for the class. So I'm enjoying it.
Cool. Good for
Oh, so they give you like a little jar that has of an oil or something that has the scent, and then you go to the tea and you find the scent that matches the jar.
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
Neat.
Yes, it's kind of hard because you think sometimes I'm smelling I mean white roses, but they are red roses and stuff.
And I'd be happy to find that to be able to know that they're roses.
I know. So it has been 3 classes, but I'm happy with it.
Cool.
How you guys have been doing?
Oh, good. Well, Indiana's in good shape. California and Nevada seem to be stuck, I guess.
Yeah.
But you said you might backtrack within a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did see Terre Haute in the news though, and I thought about you,
Yes.
Jeremy.
Yes. Federal penitentiary.
Yeah. How was that? Was there like protesting going on or?
I don't know. What did it happen?
Yeah, it happened yesterday morning.
Oh, I should have found out. Because I've actually protested there when
Yeah.
they were doing one. But that was a long time ago.
Wait,
I
what
haven't-
happened?
I have
Terre
a
Haute.
key question for you guys.
Yes.
Because of the COVID thing, we were in quarantine, right, all over the world. But as far as I could see in USA, they were not as strict, as hard with the measures, like in my country probably. But they start to make the measures harder when the protests start. It's just my imagination, or what do you guys think?
I don't know. I don't think that there's a direct connection. They're starting to make the measures harder because the case numbers are growing dramatically.
Well,
Yeah,
I don't think
that's
they're
what I
making the
heard.
measures. I don't think they're making the measures harder than they did originally. Basically, what I think ended up happening is we went into lockdown, and then it was great. We're in lockdown. Everybody's sick and tired of this. Let's make a plan to reopen. They made the plan to reopen, and regardless of the way that it affected numbers, they continued down the plan. So it's like we'll reopen, and then as long as numbers stay here, we'll move on to phase 2, and as long as numbers stay here, we'll move on to phase 3. And what happened is numbers just shot up, and we're like, screw it, we're going to move on to phase 2 anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad it's just my imagination or my
Yeah.
conclusions.
Yeah, I don't think it's directly. I mean, of course, people that would want to twist that story would say the reason why the numbers went up was because of the protests, but that's not necessarily the case. Maybe it has something to do with it, but by far, like the reopening. So when reopening happened culturally, at least I know from here in Vegas, and I'm sure it's the same in other places too. People were so excited to be out and so excited to be doing something else outside of their house, and then also the culture of the masks wasn't implemented from the beginning of opening, and so opening meant, oh, I can go to a restaurant, and it was expected that the service staff would all be wearing masks, like they're being clean and sanitary, but like customers didn't have to. But now customers have to, and so that's why there's a pushback. Like, oh, they're being more strict now and making us wear masks. When we're at pretty high risk because our restaurants are open. Like a lot of places are reclosing, so like the bars here in Vegas had to close, and maybe soon the restaurants and the hotels will have, or casinos will have to close. But it's all economically driven, like Sam was saying. You know, like once we were on that trajectory of reopening, we were just so focused on recovering the economy at any cost. But I'm starting to think and question that that's not necessarily true either. That the economy is on its own path regardless of how we're responding to the pandemic.
Well, I think there's definitely merit to the economic argument in that our economy is based on consumption by citizens, or we don't even necessarily have to call them citizens, but we just have like our economics are really driven by the people here consuming products, consuming services. That's
right.
When we stop consuming is when our economy stops. So at least when you were talking about some of the other economies over like in Southeast Asia, I don't know for sure, but I would think that those are much more like export heavy and tourist heavy economies. So they're definitely suffering from the lack of American consumption and lack of like global travel. So regardless of whether or not they shut down, it would make sense that they would be economically hurt. But in America, so much of our economy is tied to our consumption.
Right.
And it's like, I know my credit card bills have been half of what they usually are because I'm staying home all the time, and instead of going out to eat once or twice a week, we go out to eat we order in once a month at this point. And we're not driving as much, and like, yeah, consumption's way down.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think it's bad.
Well, I'm just I'm kind of sad because many people is losing their jobs because as we don't consume as much as we used to do, some places are closing. And they are losing their jobs. And I mean, not the big companies, but small companies, entrepreneurs are losing their jobs.
Yeah, big companies are losing too. You know, I don't think everybody is spared. But yeah, no, jobs are being lost. But the people and the effort and the primal need for certain services or goods will continue, you know, so we just have to figure out the direction to put the energy to invest in to support that.
I think for the time being, it's a second wave lockdown people are afraid of most, because like I know people here that were able to reopen their businesses last week or about 2 weeks ago. They're telling me the same thing. If we get a second lockdown, there's no way they can reopen. They're like a lot or enough has survived off aid for that first lockdown, but a second one, I don't think that'll be devastating. I know it'll be devastating here.
Yeah, No, everywhere.
Yeah.
It's already been devastating. I think, last week I might have told you guys, Yelp has a report where they just give different stats and whatever's going on in their search engine. And they had said that from the beginning of March until June 15th, 53% of the restaurants listed in the United States on their platform are listed as permanently closed now. And that was just after the first wave. So,
No.
it's, and then even David's Tea, they announced yesterday they're closing all of their shops. So there's a lot of jobs there, even within the tea world.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
David's Tea is closing.
Yeah.
Does that mean
Oh
there's
my God.
opportunity for good tea to fill that hole?
It's
I'm
possible.
just sad because I had this incident during the World Tea Expo in Long Beach. I was like with $100 of different teas and stuff that I got in the Tea Expo, and I was waiting, and this train they have from the auditorium to the hotel to the Queen Mary, and I was in the bus stop with my bags, and there this very nice gentleman, he came to me and he talked to me and he helped me with the bags and stuff, and we were talking until we arrived to the hotel. And at the very end, he introduced himself and he told me he's the master tea blender of David's Tea. And he was very nice and humble and such a nice person. I'm still in touch with him. So I'm sorry this is happening for him. I understand what you say, Sam. I agree. We need space for better tea, but I'm sorry for him. He was such a nice person.
So when they announced that they're closing their stores, they said they're still keeping their online presence. So, I'm sure he's still involved. Like, they're still going to need a tea blender to keep their products together. But definitely all those sales reps and all the stores and all of that infrastructure is those jobs are gone for sure.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. It's just the start, very few people within the industry are having the confidence to openly speak about it because it's vulnerable, it's vulnerable to admit. It's not even failure. It's just reality of what we're dealing with right now. But some have started, but it's just a matter of time before it's more and more, and it's just going to become a common theme in the business world. But it also means that there's room for other folks to come in at lower risk and lower barriers of entry to service that market.
I mean, it's a very natural thing that fire clears away everything and makes space for new growth and fertilizes the ground.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
One of the things I think has been good in the middle of this craziness is the virtual tea festivals.
All of it, everything. I mean, even this, just all of the. It's bringing so many great tea people and tea ideas online for everybody to share in. It's good.
Yes. Well, we need to find a way.
Mm-hmm.
One day at a time. That's been my way.
Yes.
I'm not worried about the next day. Let's get through today and tomorrow.
Last weekend, people is getting anxious, for saying in a politically correct way. They are getting very anxious. And last weekend, I was watching something, and it was like two in the morning, and I went to the bathroom and I start to listen that there was a gathering in my building, and they were singing Christmas songs.
Oh wow.
I was like, what? They were singing Christmas songs. Maybe they think that probably they won't be able for celebrating Christmas, but they were singing, Christmas carols and stuff, and they start to, I don't know how to say this, to pop fireworks and like Happy New Year, Happy New Year, and it's like,
Yeah, they're just done with 2020.
this is insane. Yes. Please, let's start with 2021 because 2020 sucks or something. Of course, police arrived a couple minutes later, but it was interesting, for saying the less. Like Merry Christmas, blah blah blah, and Happy New Year, and boom, 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 boom. I was like, okay, thank you for the show.
Oh, that's funny. Well, yeah, there was a trend. I don't know if it hit there, but it hit here in some neighborhoods where families put their Christmas lights up in the house, to kind of lighten up the neighborhood. Everybody's having to stay home, so yeah.
Well, I love Christmas, so.
I don't think I could do 6 months of Christmas.
Too many cookies.
I think the 3 months of Christmas that we get are plenty.
Will be great. Christmas cookies, pumpkin spice stuff.
Oh, you got that there too? Oh man.
Ah, humbug.
We can send gifts to each other. We can send tea to each other.
Well, hopefully we can. Logistics are still, pretty much a nightmare everywhere.
I think I found a way, because I have this friend I discovered. She lives in USA, and she was my classmate when I was in high school. And like I said, she lives in the United States. And there's this, she has like this entrepreneur or something that you can buy stuff in USA pages and send to her address in New Jersey, probably. And she has people traveling weekly, so to my country, so you can get stuff in this way.
I see.
Mhm.
So it's like a virtual mule system. Sorry, just a bad joke.
Well, it's legal. It's
Legal.
legal.
Yeah.
The only thing is that in her bags, in her backpacks, and her luggage, nothing belongs to her.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But I tried to ship from China a very, very beautiful Gongfu cha set, and it arrived a month later. The cup of the cha one, the cha set, the Gongfu, the guy one, sorry, arrived broken. So
Okay.
Yeah, it happens.
yeah, it happens, and it's beautiful. I know this person. She's a art restorer. Is it a word?
Yeah.
She restores art, and I gave it to her, and she's going to kintsugi it.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, so it's going to be beautiful anyway.
Yeah. Is it like
Well-
a coarse clay? Is it like a thicker, unglazed clay, or is it like porcelain?
It's a porcelain.
Yeah, I've never seen the kintsugi on the porcelain before.
Well, she's the artist. She
That'd be
told
cool
me
to
she know
see,
how
yeah.
to do it.
Sweet.
Yes, and it's very beautiful. It's this new style that has like a circle, and you put the guy one inside, and you can move it with a teapot. It's I will send you pictures when it's ready. It's very beautiful.
Yeah. Does it
I
like
hope I can
tip?
show you.
Does it tip?
Yes,
Okay, yeah, I've seen those. Yeah, those are becoming popular now.
yes. This girl lives in Texas, actually.
Oh, okay, cool.
So it arrived broken. So I need to learn patience.
That's a good lesson.
Right.
I had someone finally bite my head off because that's always my response, you know, in difficult conversations, especially in business.
Mhm.
I just say patience. And yeah,
Right.
he bit my head off. He was like, nah, he didn't like that. He was like, what do you mean patience?
Yeah, the thing is, we need patience, but we want it right now.
Yeah, yeah. No, well, I mean, he was just airing some frustration with me. So I guess, you know, in their village, they're all a community, and they're all like, they're a co-op, and how their factory works is the co-op members bring their leaf to the factory, and the factory buys all of it, and the factory always tries to buy all of it at a good price because it's like their family, you know, it's their community they want to support. And I told them at the very beginning of the pandemic that they should perhaps not produce as much tea, or, you know, find other uses for their tea, because the market is really uncertain and no one's going to want to buy their tea, especially right now. The logistics is just kind of, you know, shady. We don't even know if the tea will reach. It's very high risk to buy it, and then the market slowed down a lot. But they decided to continue producing tea and continue buying tea from the community. And now, you know, he's like, hey, we've got to pay everybody. We have no money to pay. And I'm like, well, neither does the market either. So, like, we just have to have patience with this, and find our way through it, and not to put too much pressure on our relationships, and communicate more. Yeah, so it's a lot of pain being felt all the way through the system, you know?
Yeah, it's stressing
Yeah.
all the systems at once.
Mm-hmm. So I was like,
It's always hard to adjust. And I read in Kevin Gascon Facebook page that World Tea Expo is canceled also.
yep, yeah. So that was new news from a few days ago. Yeah,
What about the World Tea and Music Fest?
yeah. It's been canceled. Although, okay, so well, I can't talk about it actually. Shit, I'm sorry, I even brought it up. But another virtual tea festival is in the works, a special one. But I can't talk about it until, you know, some other things are cleared first. But hopefully there's more music involved. I'd like to have more music and make it more like the World Tea Music Festival.
World Tea Music Festival.
Only if we can get Kronabin to come play.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, Priscilla, that's an event that I throw here in Vegas. I've done 2 of them. And I usually make them like the after party of the World Tea Expo.
Oh.
Yeah, so last year it was actually the official after party. The World Tea Expo sold tickets for it. And
Wow.
yeah, and so we had, everybody came. It was a very cool experience because, like, my whole purpose of doing that event was to inspire people in the industry to see, like, what are all the possible activities that you can do at a tea festival other than what you typically see at a tea festival, which a lot of times is, like, much more focus on, like, the marketplace area, like the vendor booths, and there's classes there, but like really communicating the true lifestyle of tea, the lifestyle that if the market really adopts would really support a thriving tea industry is like bringing in other activities, art, music. We even had sound healing. So like all the front of the area, all this like sound healing troupe set up tents and we're doing, they were even doing like massage and tarot readings and palm readings and sound baths. So it was really funny because my buddy Jason Walker, he works for like a tea, Chinese, tea industry. He's like their salesperson here. And so he brought his team for the after party. And he's like, well, what do we do here? What's going on? I'm like, well, you guys can just go sit on this carpet for, just sit here for 5 minutes, see how you feel. And then you can walk around and see the other stuff. And, his colleagues from China were really kind of confused about the whole scene. They're like, what's going on here? Like all these hippies running around with drums,
People are having fun.
So anyway, I left them there and I went to go host the rest of the party, and I came back out for like an hour and a half later, and they're like laid out on the carpet, just like zoned out. And later on in the night, I asked them, I was like, how was this experience for you guys? And they're like, that was great. Like we never would have, thought of communicating the tea experience in this way, but, But then, we had like a stage and we had music bands, different like world music genres. So every year we bring in, I try to make it as diverse as possible, the bands and the artists that I invite in. And so there's live music and even comedy. We had stand-up comedy. Jason Harris was like roasting the tea community. That was pretty good. And we even had like visuals. My buddy Spacey Blur. Actually, Spacey plays the virtual tea festival. That's the musician that plays music and does the tea visuals. He was doing the tea visuals on the side of the wall. So like it's a huge wall of like tea fields and like tea hand rolling, and there was like laser lights and fog machines and the band's playing and people dancing, and yeah, people have a lot of fun.
Sounds great.
There was Patrick in the back. We're making those little tea pets.
Yeah, the ceramicists from New Mexico, they had a stand outside and they brought a bunch of clay and they were letting people make tea animals or tea pets. And then, telling people that they could take them home and how to fire them in their own ovens, But they had made custom cups. Everyone got a custom cup, and they individually wrapped each one of those, Jeremy. Wasn't that incredible? Like, they put so much effort, and it was so fun, because you come, and it's like, oh, you want to drink tea, go get your cup, and you'd have to pick it from the shelves, like which gift box you want to open, and then it was a unique cup. Every cup was completely unique colors and unique glaze and everything, and that, for me, like, that's what I want to see tea festivals be. Versus like this like commercial thing, and you're just kind of herded through these stalls and sample this thing, versus like sit down and learn something, sit down and connect with somebody, or dance a little bit and move a little bit, or experience some art.
Well, I really, really hope you can find a way of doing it.
Yeah, the virtually.
I will send
That'd
you
be
my
cool.
best.
Thanks, Priscilla.
And if there's a way I can help, just let me know.
Oh, thank you. How is your Sado practice going, Priscilla?
Sorry?
Your tea ceremony practice.
I'm
tea
sorry,
ceremony.
I didn't hear you.
Your tea ceremony practice.
Oh, I try to do it weekly, at least weekly. Because if I don't, I lose it. I forgot the steps and stuff. I don't use the kimono often, because it's longer than the ceremony to wear the traditional kimono.
Yeah.
But I try to practice weekly.
That's funny. It takes longer to put the kimono on than it is to do the tea ceremony.
Right, totally. If you do it alone, it takes like an hour.
And that's just the dress. That's not the makeup or the hair or anything.
Yeah, I know, but it works.
Yeah. No, it's worth it.
works.
It's worth it.
And well, now I'm practicing my Tibetan singing bowls for Navmatri festival.
Oh, cool. Great. So
I
there
will
you
have
go.
15 minutes of singing bowls.
Sound
And,
healing. So you're
30
bringing the
minutes
sound
for
healing.
in
Great.
South America. It was so sweet because Sue, she asked me about tea in South America, and she said, "Oh, I know that there's mate and that stuff." And I said, "No, we actually have tea. We have Camellia sinensis." And she was like, "Wow, I didn't hear about it." So it was pretty new for her.
Hi, Hannah. She came and left.
Hi.
So Hannah, are you got Thursdays off for good
I
now?
had Thursday afternoon off,
Cool.
but I had to run some prescription pads to some doctor's offices. So I'm entering late, but I'm glad to be here.
That's good to see you.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you too. Priscilla?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I heard in the background. Cool.
I can't believe you guys haven't met yet.
I think I might have seen you were you at the virtual tea house? Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she was there.
And busy.
Just to update you guys, Mafelda's been texting and she's saying she's watching, but she had to work.
Okay.
Oh,
We love you, Mafelda. We miss you. Next time.
she said, "Hi, Mafalda. Hello." She's. I think she's opening her tea house, right?
Oh, is she? Awesome.
I don't know. I just saw pictures on Facebook. I hope she's doing it because
Yeah.
when we were talking about the tea house of our dreams, she did a beautiful description of what she wants.
If I remember correctly, her vision is to build that tea house in Portugal, and she's still in Australia now. So
Oh,
yeah,
right.
but I'm sure the dream is still manifesting. She's collecting all the inspiration. Virginia says hello. She wants to know what everybody's drinking.
Well, I have bubble tea in my refrigerator.
You made like the boba balls.
Yes.
Did you
Yes.
make them yourself from scratch?
Sorry?
Do you make the balls yourself from scratch?
No, not at all. I'm not as good as you are in kitchen because I always see your dinner parties and I'm like, what? She did her own tortillas. I lived in Mexico for 8 years and I never did a tortilla by myself.
It's easy. Yeah, it's easy.
I bet it is.
Well, the reason why I ask is because I keep trying to convince Jeremy to get into the boba, like once his shop can open up where he is. And I shared a video with him of this girl making the boba balls from scratch, and it took her like 2 hours.
Wow.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was an interesting video because it made that there were so many edits. It takes 15 minutes. No, it takes 2 hours.
And she only made like enough boba for one drink. So.
Speaking of cooking, Elias, we've been having comfort pork all week. and
Oh,
I've
good
been
for you
thinking about you.
guys. Good for you guys. I'm happy about that. Comfort pork is always good.
It's funny. A friend sent a recipe for making mochi from scratch. And I thought, oh, that's a great idea. It took me 2 whole days
Yep.
to make mochi from scratch because I did the red bean paste and everything. Never again.
And that bean paste, it's hard to cook, but it's the base of wagashi.
Yeah, it's delicious. I made it, and I'm glad I made that part. But that plus making the mochi like dough and the balls and everything, I'll probably do red bean paste again because a lot of it's just boiling, and then you
Right.
use the food processor and an immersion blender. But like the mochi part,
But
probably not.
it's not always necessary the mochi part, the gelatin part. Our sensei teaches that if you made like a ball of the bean paste, you can put it in a cloth and like turn it, and it will be enough.
Oh, okay.
And if you try it with matcha, will be great.
Good to know.
Yeah.
I figured I after a funny meeting last week, I discovered that putting matcha into guacamole is actually very tasty.
Makes sense.
Oh my god!
It helps with the color too, right?
Matcha mole.
No, that's guacamatcha.
Guacamole.
You can't confuse that with matcha mole, which is like a mole sauce that I'm gonna add matcha to.
Ooh, okay, I might work on that one.
Yeah, we got to figure out matcha mole still.
Guacamatcha though.
But guacamatcha is good.
I might try it.
A friend was drinking matcha and he couldn't understand why it made him feel not good and he didn't want it anymore, so he sent it to me, and he sends me a bag of culinary grade, all the fair trade, organic, vegan, gluten free, all the buzzwords. It's like a 1 pound bag. It was imported from China.
Oh,
And he couldn't understand. He didn't quite understand why the matcha wasn't good. So I've just been adding it to random everything that I eat. It's like, let's put some matcha in this and see how it goes.
right.
It's good with protein smoothies. Like, I have a banana protein smoothie every morning, and it's been like matcha banana, and it works. But
Yeah.
don't ingest it at all plain. No. We got spoiled though, Elise. Thank you.
You guys, I have to go. I have 3 minutes until my class starts, so I will try to connect at least 1 hour.
Yeah, thank you
Every
so
week. I
much,
love meeting
Priscilla.
you
We love
guys.
you.
Thanks for stopping by, Priscilla. Enjoy class.
Thank you very much, and thank you for
Yeah.
receiving me. See you guys next week. Bye.
Yeah, the matcha. So yesterday at that Take It Easy grand opening that I went to, the new coffee shop that opened, like they're using our tea and they're using our matcha, and they're doing some really cool stuff with matcha. They have this like matcha cake, and then they're making like fancy like mocktails or like interesting coffee cocktails, but they're doing the dalgona, the foam on top of the drink, but it's matcha. It's like a matcha foam. And it's on top of this like oat milk honey concoction.
Nice.
It was really sweet. It was like much sweeter than the cake. I was like, whoa, this is interesting. But it's really good. I think that it's going to be really popular. And it's good, you know, like even though that's not like the authentic way to take matcha, which you can order a bowl of matcha if you want. But I think that like for people that are looking for like a trending or like a unique experience, they're going to see that on the menu. And, you know, at least it's good matcha. At least it's not bad. Like, and the matcha taste comes through, you know?
And I bet it's good for the gram.
It's good for the gram, of course.
Yeah.
Everything in that place is great for the gram. It's incredible. Like, every detail is like, okay, yeah. There's definitely some Instagram happening in here.
As long as you're not drinking matcha from a can, like It's progress.
I don't know. I mean, there's some matcha companies that are making pretty interesting ready to drink. I mean, they're expensive, but they're out there.
I have an aide who swears by the matcha whatever frappuccino from Starbucks. He's like, no. Let's upgrade this theory a little bit.
Yeah, just go on Google and look up ingredients of Starbucks matcha and show that to her, and she'll never want to drink it again.
The sad thing is, he knows. He used to work there.
Oh.
So he should know better, but
I think there's like 40 ingredients in their mix that they use, and matcha is the last one on the list.
definitely.
Just, I think, yeah, because when you read the recipe, it's probably at the very bottom, matcha for color.
And it's probably the same matcha that your friend had that sent to you, Sam.
No, matcha is right below green food coloring. For color.
Oh, so not even enough to color?
I've been putting it in my noodles though that I have for lunch, and it definitely makes it tasty.
Actually, it's like a sesame noodle, like sesame oil, and the matcha actually works, but I wouldn't. We want to try to make a matcha cake though, and it might be a little easier here than in China.
Elise, do you have a tried and true recipe for like just a matcha latte type thing? Is it just matcha and milk?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't really have any recipes of anything.
Right.
A sensibility, yeah. So yeah, just matcha and milk and whatever variation you want to do on that. Yeah.
What about the matcha cake that you made?
The crepe cake,
Yeah.
that wasn't even a recipe. That's just like putting things together in the bowl. But I mean, it's like pancakes, it's like flour, baking powder, sugar, a little bit of salt, the matcha, egg, water, sift that, or not sift it, but like get the chunks out of it.
Yeah.
And then crepe. So I'm actually going to do like a cook-along class, and I think I'm going to make that cake in that class. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I usually don't like using recipes. I should, that way there's consistency. But
it was fun making it with you.
Yeah, that was fun. That whole experience was fun. So yeah, guys. By the way, like I don't know if you guys have ever read the Tea Girl on Hummingbird Lane. Have you seen that or read it?
I've heard of it. I think you might have mentioned it, or somebody else mentioned it.
I'm sure multiple people have mentioned it to you. I mean, multiple people mentioned it to me, and I never actually took it up and read it until I was on the panel with the author of that book, and so I was like, oh, I better read her book. It's pretty famous. You guys should definitely read it because it's like a historical fiction. It starts in the late 1980s and it goes into modern times. And it talks about the culture of the Aka people, which is like the Lee family and Nanoshan, and like in the same village, and they even talk about like the spirit gate of the village with like the male and the female with the big genitalia. Yeah, they even talk about that in the book several times.
Do they talk about the dog next to them?
I don't think so, but they talk about eating dog. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. You wanted me to look in the freezer because you got traumatized. You're like, you want to look in there? Like, no. I see what you look like.
But they assured us that they only eat the naughty dogs.
No, the funniest thing is that like 2 o'clock that morning, we get a call because our dogs got into chocolate.
Oh, yep.
The $400 vet bill. And it's like, I don't believe in karma, but apparently it's true. And apparently Maisie and Maya are screwing us. And I had this much dog. And then like the next week when we got back, it was Passover, and I found out that brisket tastes like dog, and it was not good. I couldn't eat it, and my mother-in-law is like, why aren't you eating it?
PTSD.
Hi.
Yeah, it's a serious thing culturally there. But dude, I just like it's such a great book, and it teaches you a lot of context about those communities, especially the contrast between before the big boom in the pu'er market and to now, like when we've gone and we've seen the level of developments and the level of I mean, essentially it's colonization, right? Because just 20 years ago, they were very, very much like aligned with the values and the culture and the lifestyle from the indigenous, era to now. It's all, very modernized, and it's just a good book. It's a really good book. And like, since you guys have traveled there, and seen that culture and seen the colors and heard the language and eaten the food, and it would mean a lot more to you to read that.
Cheat Girl of Hummingbird Lane.
Yeah, very good book. It's fiction, so it's very easy to read. It's a fast read. I mean, most people. Allison said she just finished it. I read it in one day. It's just like it's entertaining. It's like historical fiction, so it's very entertaining. But the writer, she did very good research, and not just of like the culture of the Aka people and of pu'er processing and kind of the history of pu'er, but also the factors of government and of culture and of like business, of like the Chinese tea market. Yeah, it's very enlightening. Like you learn a lot about tea just by reading this fun fictional book.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We're drinking some of the white tea that we got there.
Good. The purple white?
Yeah.
Good.
I still probably have almost a pound of it.
Yeah, everybody loaded up when we went. That was good.
Yep.
Gotta last us 2 years, apparently.
I was wondering about that, like whether or not there's like other books, fiction or historical fiction, that's actually tea based.
Yeah,
because there doesn't seem to be much media. I mean, there's an entire media around coffee,
Yeah.
but there doesn't seem to be a lot of consumable media around tea, does there?
Not much. There was like an animated film that was released in China a few years back about tea pets.
Okay.
Wait, what? I want
What?
to see
Yeah, let
Tea
me
pets?
see. Yeah, let me see.
a Tea Pet cartoon.
Yes, exactly.
Is it starring P-Boy?
I don't know if there's a T-boy in it. I don't know.
We have a whole shelf dedicated to teapot.
All right, I'm gonna share screen with you guys. Oh, you disabled it.
I'll let you do it. Give me a sec. I remember the first time we did virtual tea house.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I locked down my Zoom room after that and never looked back. You should be able to share now.
Cool. Okay. Let's see. I don't want to be in full screen. How do we get out of full screen? Okay.
Dang, you gotta read your email.
Are you reading my emails?
No,
you
you're
see-
I'm not reading them, but I see all the unread ones.
Wait, what? How are you on my emails?
I'm just looking at the screen that you're sharing.
Maybe I shared the wrong screen.
You were sharing the right one at first.
This is it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
这些是什么呀？
都是我多年收集的茶宠了。茶宠就是喝茶人的宠物了。
这有点意思。
Oh, there's a P-boy. You're right.
茶就这样浇在它们身上，茶宠的颜色会一直变深啊。时间久了，茶的精气神进到它们身上，颜色那个温润漂亮。
This is just Toy Story. But we
我
我叫阿唐，我是一个茶宠。店老板每天就跟我们教茶，每天都一样，一点惊喜都没有。我的名字叫做阿唐，唐伯虎的唐。
阿唐小来的奇幻之旅。
哎，对。哎，对了，小来呢？
Exciting. So yeah, that was that.
That's awesome.
That's pretty good animation though, right?
Yeah.
我叫阿唐，
Oh no, I don't want that.
唐伯虎的唐。
Oh man, yeah. I just like that. I saw that trailer when it first came out, but I never saw the movie.
I'll should do some digging and see if we can find the movie.
Yeah, find the movie with like English subtitles, and maybe we could do like a viewing
Oh,
party.
we'll just rewrite the dialogue ourselves. Mystery Science Theater.
So Jeremy, I had an idea about a year ago with my buddy Jason, the stand-up comic, you know, that was doing comedy at our festival. He does movies and he writes scripts. He's always writing different pitches and stuff. And he wanted to work on something with tea because he's like, there's something here, you know, like there's something to like be heckled in this and you know, kind of making fun of this tea culture and at the same time popularizing it too. And I was like, you know, we should totally make a series that like of like little skits that kind of like Portlandia that like make fun of different elements of tea culture. And it could be loosely based on real people like us, you know, and all of our little quirks, you know, and just kind of over accentuating the quirks and at the same time making it seem like the viewer wants to be a tea drinker. It's like, these people are so loony, I want to be a part of this.
One whole episode on how to slurp correctly, and that you're not slurping correctly.
That's exactly a good skit. That was the first one we thought of, or maybe even like the skit of like the two tea snobs like out sipping each other.
Yeah. And they both pass out because they've been.
Oh, they pass out from over sipping. That's funny.
Yes. Okay.
That's
it. Mark your minds think alike.
Yeah, one easy one to do. I mean, definitely would be to have two people tasting and just like this massive argument over what it tastes like.
Yeah.
Oh, it's very nutty. Almond. No, walnut. Almond. Walnut.
Cashew.
Yeah, and then there's one third guy. It just shows up.
Brazil nut.
Oh, Brazil nuts are good.
They are. Don't necessarily taste it in tea, but you gotta have one person that does that.
So I remember talking. I think we were talking about Robert Fortune.
Yeah.
And we're thinking it's it'd be an interesting movie, but you really can't make that movie today. About the little Scottish guy dressing up like the Chinese man to go in and stealing everything they have. But we were wondering, I wonder if you could play that out like a comedy. You can get away with it doing it like that.
Well, yeah, and well, especially if you're playing it out as like a social commentary, like if that's in reality what really happened, I think that there's no problem with communicating that story. But as long as you're doing it in a critical way, you know, and doing it in an authentic way that actually has social commentary versus just
it was really interesting how he got away with it, because like he spoke Chinese, but it was just completely broken and it was passable. And whenever he went to these districts and they said your accent's a little odd and you look a little strange, he'd always tell them the same thing. I'm from some province up north.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is like, you know, this is the days before technology that you could say, I'm from a faraway part of this country, and people would just believe you. I think he called himself Xinhua. I think was it Bright Flower was his Chinese name.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, he has an entire journals. But it'd be interesting to make that movie. But how would you make that movie? Like, that would be the trick.
You could totally make that movie. It'd be
Yeah.
a great movie. You know what I thought would be a great movie is like just the story of tea, and this of course being one of the main exciting parts of that story, and then all the other connected pieces to that story too, including wars and trade conflicts. There's a lot to be learned about our history through that epic story.
Yeah.
Not just the Boston Tea Party,
No.
which is what we learned in school.
Although that would also be an important part of that story, that
is,
that
but it's
people
not
would be able
the
to connect
story.
with.
It's not the whole story.
Mhm.
I mean, there's Lipton.
There would be a really good story. I was reading about the history of tea in Japan and how loose leaf tea kind of came about. And how they explained it was that tea at the time was basically all like, the powdered tea, the ground tea. But it was incredibly expensive, and it was only really for the rich. And it was all sort of ceremonial. And it was a very class, I guess, it was such a class-based system, and only the rich had access to these teas. And the younger generation actually used loose leaf brewing as sort of a form of revolt, because they said, we're going to brew tea our way. And they did it as sort of to kind of stand up to the, to the rich and the powerful in that way. I mean, there's a lot more to that, but essentially, loose leaf tea was actually a form of cultural revolt. I think in the 18th century in Japan, I don't think you really couldn't do that in America. I mean, obviously, it's not in part of American culture in the way it is other countries, but just the idea of using tea as a form of revolt was kind of fascinating to read about.
Maybe we can make that a new trend.
Yeah.
Channeling all of this revolution energy.
We talked about it as like demonstration of peace,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to peaceful demonstration, and like how we could, when all the protests were happening, that's kind of the conversations that we were having here
Mm-hmm.
in this space.
Yeah.
And I think it was important because tea, when they started brewing it like loose, just leaf, you can actually, in a way, you can express yourself, because there's so many different ways to brew it, and you can get through different flavor profiles, how you do it, how long you do it. Is that it is a form of individualistic expression. You do it your way, and this is my way. It's not the best way or the worst way, So it's not like a coffee maker where it's very scientific, right? This type of ground with this temperature, with this pressure, and then you get coffee. Tea really allows you to. There's so much flexibility to it. It's so individualistic that it actually sort of is a part of your personality.
Yep.
That's what I was saying.
So when are we going to make this movie, Jeremy?
Tomorrow. I'll have a draft done by tonight.
Great. So the premiere can be next week.
Yes, tune in Tuesday afternoon.
Tuesday afternoon for the preview, the premiere on Thursday.
Yeah, that's true. We need a premiere event.
This movie is going to be like those movies that we used to make in high school for history class, when you had to get together with the group and record a movie.
Please do. That would be amazing.
Did you guys do that? Was that a part of your curriculum as well?
Yeah, except
Yeah.
now we do it in 10. Now we can do it in 4K from our cell phone.
Yeah. or just within TikTok, you know. It used to be a big deal, you know. We had our camcorders, and you had to like keep track, and one person had to be able to edit it together, and it was really shitty quality. But man, those were fun. Those are like all my favorite projects to do in high school.
Yeah.
And now your brother does it professionally.
Yeah, he does for sure.
How's he doing?
He's good. Yeah, he's still in Austin. He posted something cryptic online. I haven't talked to him about it yet, about wanting to move somewhere. So I think he's got some ideas brewing in his head of what he wants to do, change of pace or whatever. But hey, Jeremy, I wanted to ask you about that. So yesterday, that execution happened. Our first federal execution in 13 or 18 years, something. But
I think it was first since Timothy McVeigh, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was with my cousin. We were protesting that. I mean, that was a big deal, but that was high profile. That was really high profile.
Yeah. So what I don't understand, and maybe you can enlighten me on this, since you know, you're in that area, and I'm sure, you know, people in your community talk about this, so there's kind of some understanding of that system. But like, when does like a case become a federal case versus a state case? Because I know states and counties manage their own, you know, death penalties or whatever. And then in this particular case, he had an accomplice. He had a partner that they both were, whatever, convicted of the same crime. But his partner just got like a life sentence. You know, he's just in prison. While this guy, you know, so I didn't understand that difference.
Yeah, I never quite figured that out either, because, I mean, you know, when Timothy McVeigh out there, it makes sense. It was an attack on government property.
Yes.
So it's a federal crime. But I think Mike Tyson was out there. And so I don't know how he would have been there. You know, so I don't know exactly how you would find your way into a federal prison. I think Blagojevich was out there for a little while, because I know a prison guard out there.
Oh wow!
And it was funny how he said, because he said the first question he always gets is like, you know, who's out there? Who's out there? What high profile people do we have out there? And he says, we always tell you who is out there after they leave, because they can't tell you before.
Yeah.
So, like, a month after they're actually transferred out of that prison, they can finally admit, like, who was there. But I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that guy in a while either.
Is that the only federal prison that we have, or are there more?
It's the only one that does executions.
Okay.
All the others just do torture and enhanced interrogation.
You just kind of hate it so much. Anytime you see Terre Haute in the news, someone's gonna die. I know, like, people know it's like, oh, that's where, like, you know, Blagojevich was. That's where Mike Tyson was. Like, well, they didn't live here. They were imprisoned.
He was there involuntarily.
Yeah. We provided the housing. He did live here, but on our terms.
In the Festival of Progress that I did with my buddy Marcus, you know, we had different presenters, different social justice fighters doing presentations, and one of the guys works with the Nevada Coalition Against the Death Penalty. And so he just did a lot of education around the current state of the death penalty in the country. It's actually like not used almost anywhere. There's like very few places it's actually still employed. But Clark County, where Las Vegas is, this county is the number one county of death penalties in the country. And then the state of Nevada is second to Alabama, I think he said. And that, like, 100% of all of the crimes that have ever been, assigned a death penalty have all been crimes against white people.
How many? What percent?
100%.
Whoa.
Yeah, so, you know, like, if you kill, you know, a white person versus killing, you know, a person of color, your chances of getting death penalty are much different in each case.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's also a lot of there's a lot of people on death row that don't actually get executed as well.
Yeah. There's a trend of exoneration, which is happening, like where they get relieved, because actually they're finding that a lot of them are innocent. And even the guy that was executed yesterday, his last words, it's documented. He said, "I did not commit these crimes."
Wow.
And then the other guy, his partner, he has openly admitted, "I committed these crimes." Like he actually like pleaded guilty to them, while this other guy pleaded not guilty the entire time.
I'm curious if that's why you got leniency, but it's so bad.
Yeah, it was weird. Yeah, that kind of took me down a rabbit hole yesterday when I started reading that. I'm like, oh, Terre Haute, I gotta learn more about like what's going on here. When I see Terre Haute in the news now, I'm like, oh, Terre Haute.
It's never a good thing we see Terre Haute in the news. I remember in California, everybody always says, like, how do I get out of jury duty? And they say in California, what you do is say, you know, whether or not you believe it, if you always say, I don't believe in the death penalty, because that question's always on the form. But they said the least that will happen is you're not going to get a high-profile case.
That reminds me, I have jury duty next week.
Oh, fun.
I mean, I'm praying for lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
We're in lockdown.
Yeah.
That if we go into lockdown, then maybe jury duty gets canceled.
I had jury duty in April, at the exact same moment that that courthouse locked down.
And
Yeah, so it was pretty much waived. Everything was shut down because that was April when everything all across the country. So I'm off the hook for 2 more years.
I got called for jury duty at 4:30 was when they stopped like the juror questions, and he had to come back the next day. I got excused at 4:25, but I was so angry the entire time, and for like the last afternoon of it, because the guy, the accused was there, and like his attorney put his feet up, like, and it's like, well, I don't have to do anything. It's up to her to prove that my client is guilty. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to say anything the rest of the day. And the guy robbed somebody at knife point, and they had people on the jury panel who had gotten raped at knife point, and they were asking him enough questions that like 4 of the ladies on the panel were crying. And they were still asking questions, and the judge was like, well, and people like asking to talk to him privately, and said, no, if you want to say it to everybody in this courtroom. So they were having to like retell their stories. Like, what kind of monster are you? You're making them relive this in public. Like, if they're bawling in front of people in public, they probably don't want them in your jury, and you're like, it was such a twisted, depressing process. Like, and the judge was super callous and rude, and just like, and then my aide got called like a couple weeks later and had like the same experience. It was just crazy that they would treat the jury panel there like we're the ones being innocent. Like, they're here to be on the panel, and you're making them cry, like, and you're not telling them, like, you're forcing them to tell their stories to a criminal or a suspected criminal and everybody else. So bizarre. Thankfully, I'm good for another year, I think, but it's not how you think the process should go.
Guys, I have to go.
Oh.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
I'm sorry, but it was good catching up. We had some nice combos today. I appreciate it. Jeremy, thank you so much for enlightening me on all those questions I had. Kind of a depressing way to go out of this, but
I'm actually ashamed. I should have known more.
I'm going to continue exploring it and learning about it because it's a really fascinating, story and but
Yeah.
all right, guys. Well, I hope you have a beautiful weekend. Stay cool.
Bye, Lise, you too.
Drink lots of tea. Love you guys.